The war on cops. The latest in Arkansas. 2 officers shot while responding to a call at a home near Fort Smith. 1 officer is in critical condition, and it is not yet clear what led to the shooting. We still don't know if the officers were intentionally targeted, but this is yet another example of the dangers officers face in their everyday duties. Plus, now officers are dealing with all the rhetoric from the left about how all cops are bad and racist. This isn't making the situation any better. And now, gang members are threatening to kill cops too. Joining me now with the Page 5 report, reporter for the Independent Journal Review, Victoria Taff. Victoria, this is what I call the Obama war on police. This is what happens when you have a president that constantly says there's something wrong with the criminal justice system, and when he constantly accuses officers of being racist without cases being investigated first.
Well, that's right. And Stephanie, after Dallas and Baton Rouge, the police are taking no chances when they hear that well-armed street gangs are gunning for them. The Chicago Tribune is reporting that 3 West Side gangs, whose names I'm not going to repeat here, say that they have a, quote, sniper in place to take a shot at cops. The threat follows the latest police shooting, and that shooting involved 18-year-old Paul O'Neill, who stole a car and then led police on a chase. The police shot at the stolen car. The stolen car then crashed into police, and then there was a foot chase where you could see that the young man was bleeding, we're told. Police body cam video shows only part of the story.
Put your hands behind your back. Shoot at us. 7351 on Miro. Hey, you okay, brother? EMS, come up. 406 boy emergency. Can we get EMS?
Fine. 672 Charlie. Offender is in the yard, 7340. Male. Roll an ambulance for him.
You need an additional ambulance for a PO. Additional ambulance for an injured PO.
406 boy.
Not hit, but he's hurt.
There have been 2 days of protests alleging that O'Neill was executed. Protesters used the hands up, don't shoot chant during the protests, and the actual body cam video of the actual shooting has not yet been released. The Tribune is reporting that police sources say cops have been advised to, quote, limit interactions and visibility. And what that means is the Ferguson effect. Cops standing back and failing to engage is in full effect in one of the deadliest cities in the country.
And so what are police saying about the potential for violence right now?
Well, they're saying, of course, that this could happen and explode at any time. And they're worried about that, especially the fact that the cops are now standing back a little bit and waiting to watch what happens.
Well, we know that there's a missing piece of video and people are upset about it. They want to see what's in it. But, you know, we still don't have the full story here. So why do people have to protest? Why can't they let an investigation run its course?
Well, they're going into the vacuum, trying to make some sense out of what they feel is not something that makes sense. Here we have a dead kid, right? An 18-year-old kid. And the other canard here is that he was, quote unquote, unarmed. But when you're driving a Jaguar and you smash it into a police car, that is no longer an unarmed individual. That is a person deploying an assault with a deadly weapon. A car is a weapon, and in fact, he did have one, and he used it against the police.
Well, and we also have some public officials in the community kind of fanning the flames.
Oh, absolutely. We've got, of course, the usual folks who are in the community saying that this was a hands up, don't shoot kind of a situation. And in fact, we know from Ferguson that that was an abject lie perpetrated by the best friend of Michael Brown that day. Hands up, don't shoot never happened. But in Chicago, it just seems to me unseemly that they would deploy that particular thing, that chant, when it's not true here. We don't know what happened. We understand that there were several shots fired at the moving car, and we have 5 shots fired when they finally cornered the 18-year-old kid behind that house. We don't have actual video of the shooting. And so we don't know when he was shot. Was he shot? Was he hurt when he rammed the car into the police car or right after they started shooting at the car, which apparently is against regulations. But nevertheless, we don't know when he was shot. So I think people ought to hold their powder until such time that we know what happened.
Well, it's interesting because you hear this story and you only hear police shoot unarmed, black teen, but nobody wants to show you that video of this teen stealing a car. I mean, this isn't a nice kid. Not that he deserves to be shot and killed because of that, but you know, this kid was using a car as a weapon. I mean, he could have killed officers that day.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, he could have. I'm shocked that nobody got hurt in that accident, except the fact that it was a Jaguar hitting an SUV. So maybe that was the telltale there. But nevertheless, he could have, he was armed. I mean, that's the bottom line. He was armed and he went after cops with it, and he didn't care. He had a reckless disregard for their safety when he did that. This is not an innocent. This is a kid who stole a car, stole someone else's property, and then he went off and tried to kill cops with it. That's nothing small, Steph.
It's definitely a terrible situation for both sides, and I have a feeling that we're going to see more crime, more homicides in Chicago, unfortunately.